Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start things off. So thank you, everyone, for joining the Planning Committee meeting, our first virtual one.
Mike's speaking.
Oh, hi, Mike. Okay. So I'm going to run through the names of people I can see are on the call or have said something, and then I'm going to ask for other people to chime in and see who maybe I've missed. So from Orange County staff, Lauren Burns, Julie Richmond, myself, Ashley Long, Rob Harrington, and Alan Sorensen are on the call. And then I know that Sandra Jobson and Nicole Farmer from NIASDOT are on the call. We have Chad Wade from Newburgh, Glenn Godali, Jack Farr, Olu Falarin. I think Frank, did I see you on here, Frank?
Yes, I'm on as well. Frank Filicciotto with Creighton Manning.
Okay, yes. Hi, Frank.
Hi, how are you, Ashley?
Maria Chow from FHWA, Travis Ewald from Orange County DPW, Al Fusco. We have Mike Sweeten from Warwick, and Harriet Lewis from NISA main office. I think some people are just calling in, so I don't necessarily have your name, but...
Moishe Gruber, Village of Kiryas Joel.
Ashley, can you read the last 4 numbers of the phone number and have whoever's phone number that is say their name so I can associate that?
So if we miss anyone at the end, we'll ask you to speak up. But I have a number that ends in 6677. I don't know. Okay.
That's me, Ashley, Chad Wade, City Newburgh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm wondering if they were like double showing me. I have a non-emergency number that ends in 4000.
Harriet Lewis.
Oh, hi, Harriet.
4000 is Jack from the City of Port Jervis.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I have an 8434.
That's Nicole from NISA.
Okay. All right. Hope everyone's okay. 0564.
Olu Falari MTA.
Okay. Thank you, Olu. See you twice. Have Travis. I have a 2542.
That's Al Fusco.
Okay, hi Al. I see Mike, Harriet. I have that's Mr. Gruber. Okay. And then I have a Katie Chow as well, I believe.
Yeah, this is Maria Chow.
Oh, okay. just double checking.
It's a family plan, you know.
Got it. Fair. Okay. Is there anyone on the call that I missed? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Julie.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so now we've gotten through the roll call. This next thing on the agenda is the opportunity for public comment. Ashley, do you want to explain how we handle public comment for this meeting?
We're handling pretty much the same. We did in the email. We asked if anyone knew they wanted to make a public comment. We asked them if they could contact us. It's not required, but just out of courtesy, just because we're not seeing people, obviously. But I didn't have anyone contact me, so does anyone have any public comments they'd like to make at this time?
Well, we're also recording the meeting, and we'll be posting the transcribed transcription.
Right. So we're trying to follow open meeting law, or we are following open meeting law to the best of our ability. So this meeting is being recorded, and then there will be a transcription versus just like a summary that we'll post afterwards. So everyone will either have an opportunity to comment or view the meeting, when they're able to. So, yeah.
Okay. So hearing none and unaware of anyone from the public on the line, we're going to move on to item 3, which is to accept the meeting summary from January 21st, 2020, our last meeting. Do we have any comments, additions, edits to the meeting summary? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Item 4, OCTC COVID-19 update. So this is our first meeting since the whole pandemic has started. It is our first virtual meeting. In terms of Orange County and OCTC, we have been working at no more than 50% of staff in the office at one time. It's basically been Alan and myself in the office and everyone else on the staff working remotely. Planning is an essential service, so we've been managing to keep things running, and we've continued to review the 239s. We continue writing grants, and we are continuing on all the major projects that we had going on, the ag redistricting, etc. In terms of COVID's impacts on transportation, my understanding is that there were no impacts in terms of stopping construction for transportation projects. There were some initial issues that we were looking for guidance on from the federal government, and in the beginning, some of those issues were whether or not we would get extensions to organizational requirements such as the LRTP approvals or timelines, the UPWP, the triennial reviews, the TMA reviews, and other invoice processing. And then we were looking, of course, about whether or not we were going to pursue how MPO's policy boards would meet electronically and telephonically, and we received the VPI guidance relatively quickly after this all started. I think some of the other concerns for the MPOs were some flexibility with respect to updating the required performance targets and setting new targets to reflect the anticipated conditions. And then, you know, there was the CARES Act, which did not include funding for highways like the 2008 ARA did. But there is strong speculation that a Phase 4 stimulus will be crafted to address other infrastructure not included in Phase 3. And of course, all state and local governments have been requesting funding for the loss of revenues from fuel taxes and sales taxes that are usually invested in transportation. And I'm going to have Rob talk about the impacts on transit bus operations, as well as there is an impact from the CARES funding on the transit side in support of operations. But I just want to backtrack a little bit and see if Maria Chow, do you have any updates in terms of federal guidance on some of these other issues?
No, not at this time. We haven't heard anything from our headquarters on this.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna hand it over to Rob for the moment, if you want to talk about the transit impacts.
Hey everybody, I hope everyone's doing well. On the transit side, as can be expected, in mid-March to late March, pretty much all our operations suspended service. Some tried to go a little bit further into March and try to get to April, but essentially all our service is suspended. The local services in the Middletown and Newburgh areas are both continue to operate, along with the required paratransit service tied to that, and the mainline service also continues to operate. We've been in contact with the operators in the past week, and now again this week, to kind of feel them out to see when they may start service again, if they know, because we obviously understand it's a fluid situation. Things seem to be getting better, but you don't want to jump the gun. So some operators indicate they hope to start up some limited service again next week, and another operator indicated it'll probably be around Memorial Day week that they would start. And we're still waiting to hear back from a number of others, and that's, local determination because it's obviously safety first. So that's where we stand on the operations. As far as the CARES Act, that's a little bit later in the agenda. Ashley and I will talk a little bit about the CARES Act and what that means for transit.
Okay. So the county is currently been asked to work on a transition plan and our plans for reopening. We're still waiting on timelines for that, but more than likely we will be coming in and continuing some level of remote work for staff, maybe on a rotating basis. And there'll be physical, probably, improvements made to the office in some instances to accommodate safe social distancing. So the only other aspect of this is I don't know, Sandra, if there's any fiscal impacts on the NYSDOT side that you want to talk about now, or we can maybe talk about it later in the agenda.
Hi, Julie. No, none that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right, great. Okay. Next on the agenda, unless there's any questions as far as COVID or anything on the local level that anybody needs to talk about? Okay. Item 5 is the Transportation Improvement Program, and we have a TIP amendment, OCTC 20-04, a TIP administrative modification, 20-C, a funding request for PIN 8761.49 ADA sidewalks, a TIP modification, 20-D, and I will turn it over to Ashley.
Okay, thanks, Julie. So I'm going to start with the TIP amendment, and so I'm just going to run through the project, but if you have any questions, just obviously let me know. So the first project that you should be seeing on the screen is for James P. Kelly Way. This project was closing out, and they discovered that they were short approximately $58,000, and so this PIN is adding additional funds from the Middletown Traffic Operations Stage 1 PIN. They're using that PIN as an offset for $31,000. And then the committee had also agreed to allocate the remaining FFY 2020 funds from the STP Large Urban Block PIN, which is about $28,000, to this PIN as well. So that's what this is showing, to adding the additional project costs to a PIN that has already kind of fallen off the tip because it was being completed. So the next project is a NYSDOT PIN. It's a new PIN that is coming with its own offset it's for culvert replacements in Dutchess and Orange. And so this particular PIN in Orange County, it's South Street over Gidney Town Creek in the city of Newburgh.
This is Jacob DeWitt, Ashley. Sorry for joining late.
That's okay. Thanks for joining, Jacob.
No, that's
okay. We're just going to go over the amendment, and then we're going to keep moving through the TIP stuff, so you're in time. Okay. And so then the next project in this amendment is another NYSDOT project. This is a new project that's being added for rustic rail replacement. Rustic rail was something that DOT has prioritized to be replacing, and so the funding is mostly coming with its own funding, but so there's no offset needed, but the design funds are being provided by some other PINs because the full project wasn't, they needed to find offsets within the DOT projects. So they did come with their own offsets, so the PIN is fully funded by DOT. So that is OCTC 20-4. Does anyone have any questions on any of those PINs? I don't know if Sandra or Nicole, if you want to add anything in particular.
No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay. Great. There's no questions. I'm going to move on to 20-C. There are quite a few pins in this administrative modification. So the first one up is Middletown Traffic Operations Stage 1. Kind of like we just saw in 20-04, the amendment. This is just showing that they're reducing their construction inspection funds as the offset for James P. Kelly Way. Sounds pretty straightforward. The next one is from the Village of Curious Joel. Roadway improvements. Their construction funds were still sitting in 2019 or pre-2020, so they weren't actually shown on the current TIP, and so we've rolled them to 2021 so that they're, being represented on our current TIP. The next project is a NISAT project for bridge rehabilitation on 4 Orange County bridges in the town of Wawayanda. This does come with its own funding. It's an offset pin. It's a bridge job order contract pin from DOT. So that one, there's no offsets. They're not looking for offsets, obviously. The next one is another DOT pin for wall repair on Route 9W in the town of Highlands to replace the parapet wall along the northbound lanes. So they're looking to update the project locations and redistribute funding. Someone also.
Hello.
Oh. The next pin is another NISAT pin for the Newburgh Beacon shuttle bus service, including Stewart International Airport, and they are looking to increase the funding in 21 to adjust the contract to the calendar year cycle, so they're just moving their funds around within the pin itself. So, and then the next pin is showing the block pin for the STP large urban funding, and this is going to Middletown. The $27,000 has been allocated to the James P. Kelly Way project, so it's just showing that change. So, were there any questions about Admin Mod C? Or if anyone COT had anything to add to any of those?
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, great. So the next item on the agenda is the funding request for the City of Middletown. So Jacob reached out and contacted staff. They went out to bid for the ADA sidewalks project, which we've discussed before. And when they went out to bid, the bids came back a little higher than they anticipated, about $1 million. And so the City of Middletown is requesting additional funding for the ADA sidewalk project to the tune of $753,000. Jacob, I don't know if you have anything you want to add right now.
No, really, it's we would like to use that money, as we discussed several times with you, Julie, and Harry. We would like to use funding, this shortage in funding from other available funds on the TIP, but for now, for it to be expeditious, we would like to transfer money from our traffic operations for now into this account to cover the shortage, and then as the traffic operation is moving along, we will revisit this allocation of fund, because we need additional funding anyway for the traffic operation. So for now, we're just transferring fund, everybody's consent, obviously, from one project to another, so that this ADA project can move forward.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So on the screen right now, you should be seeing pin 875707, which is Middletown Traffic Operations Phase 1. So in the discussions of for the additional funding, in order to fund the ADA Sidewalks project right now, Middletown is going to use their other pins for Phase 1 traffic operations as an offset, which is then going to just leave a bigger deficit in that bin, but they're looking to award that contract and move things along with that project. So, but just kind of recap in general, the original request for the Middletown Traffic Operations Stages 1 and 2 pins was $8.472 million. And then they are also using that same traffic operations pin as a offset for James Kelly Way, and that was another $31,000. Now they're using this pin again as an offset for the ADA Sidewalks project for another $753,000. So in total, they're looking for $9.256 million for the traffic operations pin. So that's
Ashley, can I just ask a question, Mike Sweeten? So that money that they want to use is in the reachable year, right? I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
On our tip. Okay, that's great.
Yeah. Because you're right, Mike. The fiscal constraint issues are kind of part of the problem that we're running up against now. Is that it's hard to move things around without making sure that the tip is fiscally constrained. So I know that we have been discussing the block pins in the past in terms of allocating funding for the traffic operations pins, but there's no way to move those funds forward, even if so that's a problem at this point. As I think in the past, the committee members were open to allocating that funding, but there's no way to move it on the tip, move it up on the tip. And I've gone through and looked several times and talked it over with DOT a bit that there's really no projects in the current fiscal year or the next fiscal year that are going to, there's not $9.256 million to allocate towards that project, even if someone else had a project they weren't planning to complete, which I don't think is the case. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I'm not sure if anyone has any thoughts or questions.
Well, for us, actually, as I stated before, regarding the traffic operation, we are proceeding, and we will be looking for any other project that's not really is not going to be constructed, or it's not going to move forward for whatever reason, especially with this financial constraints that we have right now. The City of Middletown would like to pursue its projects per the mayor and the Common Council, and we're trying to do our best to meet all of our construction obligations and continue to move forward. So any assistance from Orange County Transportation Council, from any member, if they're not going to move forward, we would appreciate them letting us know now if they're not going to move forward for that project. We don't go scrambling around looking for funds in Middletown here, while other projects where money can sit stagnant in there, like it used to be our issue for years and years. Now we have good problem, which is we don't have enough funds. Before we have tons of funds, and nobody was moving forward with their project. So now we have I think it's a good problem to have, which is everybody wants to build and construct, which it says very good things about our region and about Orange County, to be honest with you. And we want to be in the forefront in here, pushing these construction projects forward. So we would appreciate everybody just being supportive of us and let us know if their projects are not moving forward, so we can tap into that funding. And this traffic operation is one of the biggest projects that we have. After that, I think we're going to tune down our request, so we'll be supporting other projects as they come forward for other communities. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jacob. Jacob, do you want to give an update on the schedule?
For the traffic operations, yes. Yeah, we had a conference phone call last week with the DOT, with their design team, and we expect to get final design approval by the end of this week, early next week. And once we have that, we will proceed full speed with developing final design plans and contract documents, and we expect to remain within this fiscal year, meaning going out for bid, for construction bid for this project before October 1st, so within this federal fiscal year. These are our plans. We think it's achievable. Our consultant WSP, they believe that it is achievable. So that's why we're not requesting to move our funding from this year to next year this time. We believe that we are on track to achieve all the projections and the timeline as shown in the tip.
Thanks, Jacob. So that's where we stand. Jacob and I have had a couple conversations, but I'm not seeing any projects or hearing about any projects that aren't moving forward, or project sponsors are, not going to be using their funding. But obviously, if you're having some concerns, please let us know. Otherwise, Jacob, I think maybe after this meeting, we maybe have another conversation with NYSDOT about if the city is able to find, the additional funding themselves if it's not going to come through the MPO for various reasons, or if you want to think about phasing your projects again or anything like that. Maybe that's just another conversation we'll have. So.
Yeah, that's fine. We applied for other grants in there, and so far nothing came through for us, including the CFA. We applied for CFA to fund this project, and nothing yet. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Listen, we're extremely hopeful about some federal infrastructure funding in there that will save the country. Only will save Orange County and our construction projects. It's going to be very much needed for the entire country. Hopefully, the Congress and the President will come through for us. So we're very optimistic about, because everybody worries about the economy of this country and keeping it moving forward. So we're very optimistic about some federal funding coming through. If we're going to do our best in there, including phasing this project into alternate bids in there, and so on and so forth. We have other means to try to see this project to a conclusion, we hope.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any other questions or concerns or comments that they'd like to make? Okay. None. So yes, we're in Admin Mod D, just to kind of go back. So Middletown Traffic Operations, this is being shown to decrease the construction funds as an offset for the ADA Sidewalks project. And then I'm just going to go back up really quick. Okay. So this is a DOT project. This first one, PIN 800531. It's for the New York 17K at Valley Central School, and they are looking to decrease the right-of-way acquisition funds as an offset for another PIN. We're seeing that reflected here. And then it's the Middletown project, which we just went over. And then the next one on the admin mod is for ADA accessible sidewalks and ramps in Middletown, which we were discussing. And so this is showing the increase from the large urban block fund, the Middletown Traffic Operations Stage 1 as the offset. So it's just showing the increase in funds here. And then the last project in this admin mod is to change the fund source in that Route 9W wall repair pin that DOT was adding. They're just changing the fund source from SPVG Flex to NHPP. So, does anyone have any questions on any of these pins or any of the tip items we've talked about so far? Okay. We will move these along then, and the amendment will go to vote at the next voting meeting. So, all right, thank you. So I think the last thing in the tip portion of the agenda is the local project sponsor updates. I'm not sure if anyone would like to give any updates. Jacob, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to talk about with the Middletown project that we haven't already covered.
I think we covered it all. We're looking to sign the contract with APA. There is some issue with WBE, MBE requirement. So we have to obtain the blessing of DOT before our mayor and common council approve the contract. So this is what we're waiting for. We're trying to work it out with DOT office regarding the WB and BE, and then hopefully the project is going to go full speed ahead, and do contract award and then contract signing, and we had extension from the contractor as he was working through his issues with WBE and BE from the GC. We got 15 days extension beyond the 45 days required and the bid. And traffic operation, I just updated you on that. Moving. DOT is working very closely with us. They're very supportive, and it's really tremendous. I can't say good enough things about DOT officers, how they, the staff, and, how supportive they are, and they go out of their way to accommodate whatever we request. And we appreciate that very much from them.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Ashley, it's Mike Sweeten. So we had that high priority earmark project for the route and pedestrian trail. We got approval on February 13th, or design approval and authorization to proceed to detailed design. But unfortunately, the project manager has passed away. And so that pushed us back a little. We had to request DOT on April 20th to forward to the feds for a slight extension, hoping that they would grant it. We could get out to bid sometime late May, let a contract in June, and award in August. So we're still waiting to hear back from DOT and the feds.
Okay, thank you for the update. I'm sorry to hear that, but
very sad.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Travis, I don't know if you have any updates you wanted to give.
Actually, only updates I really have right now are Grove Drive Bridge has been completed, and Heritage Trail Segment 2 construction is fitting along well, and we have the pedestrian safety improvements project and Otisville Viaduct project. The pedestrian safety is finishing up the design, and we expect to be out to bid pretty soon. And Otisville Viaduct is proceeding along with our right-of-way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jack in Port Jervis, do you have any updates you'd like to share?
I do. I'm happy to say we are probably 3 weeks away from substantial completion. Paving was done last week. I believe striping is being finalized today and tomorrow. Landscaping's continuing, but we're hopefully looking at either the 22nd or the 29th as the contractor move out of town. So, you know, in all, I just want to thank the whole committee. It's been a long haul for us. A lot of complaints my way, politicians and not. So, but other than that, I mean, if anybody's came through, they're going to dedicate the bridge to a councilman that passed away last year, a year and a half ago. But they're going to end up, the mayor's going to do, once this COVID is done, we're going to end up doing a sort of a ribbon cutting type of thing when it opens. Everyone will be invited. Hopefully soon. I don't know if it'll happen this year now because of all this going on, but well, hopefully things are winding down. So it'll definitely be a welcome sign for myself. That's for sure.
All right. Well, that's great news. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. It really does. I mean, it's just, you know, hopefully we can open up and allow people back into the city to start using it again.
Right.
Hey, Jack, this is congratulations. That's a great accomplishment. I remember working on that old bridge when I was a contractor. What is it, over 20 years ago?
Yep, I talked to the contractors when we tore your water main down, Jacob. I actually talked about you installing that water main on the bridge with you and your two other guys on the bridge installing that water main, hanging it off the bridge. That was a long time ago. That's right.
Jack, congratulations again. What is the final cost for this project, if you remember?
I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I know we're probably in the 21 million range right now.
Got you.
Yeah, somewhere like that. But that includes the sidewalks, the intersections, the bridge, the road widening, a couple culverts, those things. So that included all three pins.
Yeah, worth every penny of it because it's very worthwhile project. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Sorry to tear out your water main.
I know, that hurts, man.
That's good. I'm done, Ashley. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jack. I'm glad to hear it's going well. Awesome. Okay. Chad, do you have any updates you'd like to give?
Sure. Our pin 8005 is Broadway pedestrian, I'm going to butcher the name, but Broadway pedestrian reconstruction, that was awarded to WSP, so we're going to get moving on that. Pin 8758.75, that was also awarded to WSP, and we're going through negotiations right now. The Liberty Street Streetscape 8761 is going through award at DOT. And then we have a number of other bridge replacement pins. I believe there's 3 of them. 2 of them are still in kind of final design and haven't been out for bid yet. The other one out for bid, but unfortunately the bids were rejected. So we're working through next steps on that.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Chad.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anyone that I missed? Oh, Mr. Gruber, do you have any updates you'd like to provide?
Yes. On the pin 875965. What as all of us were delayed these few weeks, and there was no activity on this, the problems like everybody had. But now, I'm glad to report this week we'll submit to DOT the Section 7 ESA coordination document, and we're going to file the county clerk right away documents. Once we have that done, we get the approval from DOT, we'll go out to bid, hopefully soon.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone that I missed that would like to give an update? No. Okay. Well, great. Thank you very much for all of that. I think we can move on a bit. I don't have any old business. Does anyone have any old business they'd like to bring up? Okay. Hearing none, I'm just going to go ahead and move to new business. Julie, I don't know if you want to...
Sure. So on some staffing updates, as you all know, Dave Church retired in the beginning of March, and the new commissioner for planning is Alan Sorensen. And I'm going to let him give a little bit of his background and introduce himself, but he has an extensive background and experience in planning, and he's taken an interest in the transportation planning, so I welcome his unique way of thinking and thinking out of the box, but yet with practical solutions. So we welcome his perspective. Alan?
Julie, thank you for that introduction. As Julie mentioned early on, there were several weeks there. It was only Julie and I in the building, so it was interesting times. My first day was March 16th, but I'm very proud of everyone in the planning department, transportation team. Even though most folks were working remotely, our important essential work was getting completed, and we're getting our essential work completed. I guess a quick background on me. I think I actually know many of you on the Transportation Council. For those of you who don't know me, I did my graduate work in city and regional planning at Rutgers University. Also have a second master's in public administration from Pace University. Did my undergraduate at SUNY Oneonta in geography and anthropology. So I've been a professional planner for over 30 years, member of the AICP, Julie and I actually served together when I was Commissioner of Planning and Community Development for Sullivan County, and I was in that position from 1997 to 2003. Thereafter served approximately 2 years with the New York State Division of Housing and Community Renewal, where I helped to set up the New York Main Street program, and essentially have been in private practice with my company Planet Main Street Inc. From roughly 2003, 2004 to when I started here on March 16th. I am also a county legislator in Sullivan County, and actually the longest serving legislator up there. But I am first and foremost a professional city planner. That's my passion. I got into planning because I really like to work with communities to help make our communities a better place. On the transportation side, Julie and Rob and the transit team, Ashley have done an incredible job with the transportation planning. My interest is really getting involved with them, looking at some of the bigger picture issues. You know, how do we enhance our transportation system so that it, serves all modes of transportation within Orange County and the surrounding region? In response to COVID-19, there's no question that transit is going to change. So I look forward to confronting that challenge and working with each of you to develop a transportation system that is responsive, allows those in need of our transit system to be able to get to and from work and to essential services, and just very excited about this opportunity. So I look forward to working with everyone, and again, very proud of the transit team for really stepping up during this COVID-19 crisis to keep our essential services moving forward.
Thank you, Alan. We have, sorry?
Oh, I was just saying you're welcome.
Okay. We have another voting member update for the town of Montgomery. Ashley?
So, once the town of New Windsor had an administration change recently, the operating procedures ask us to basically reselect someone for that sub-area. So the Newburgh area sub-area chose the town of Montgomery as their second voting representative. The town of Newburgh is the other voting representative for that area. So the town of Montgomery will be joining us, and so we'll be updating the member list on the website, so for reference for anyone. So, yeah.
And then there's one third piece of new business, which is the town of Wallkill roadway classification.
Yes. So I'm not sure if everyone had a chance to read over the meeting materials. We did send out a little memo on this, and there is a map attached. So DOT main office reached out, and Region 8 reached out to coordinate with OCTC on, they have 3 roadway reclassifications they've proposed, and they're asking the committee to support. So the first one is Old East Main Street. These are all in the town of Wallkill. Here, I'll move to the map so people can more easily reference locations. These are all in the town of Wallkill. And so the first one is Old East Main Street. It's currently classified as a minor arterial, and it's being proposed to change it to a local road. This section of Old East Main Street in particular serves local access and dead ends. It ends in a dead end. So it's only 0.1 miles, and they're just suggesting that it move to a local road classification. The second roadway they're proposing for change is Crystal Run Crossing, which is number 2 on this map. It's currently classified as a local road, and they're proposing a change to a minor arterial. The 0.2 miles of Crystal Run Crossing proposed is a 6-lane, 2-way road with direct access to New York State 17 ramps. and it intersects with Crystal Run Road, which is classified as a major collector going north towards Bollard Road, and it's a minor arterial south towards Midway Road. So the functional classification would become a minor arterial. And so those two roads, Old East Main Street and Crystal Run Crossing 1 and 2 in the map, are, they weren't updated when the Route 17 Exit 122 reconstruction project was completed back in 2015. So really the characteristics of these roadways changed with that project, and so their DOT is just asking to update them. And then the third roadway they're proposing for change down to the bottom of the map is Midway Road. It's currently classified as a local road, and it's being proposed to update it to a major collector. And this will help to ensure that the continuity of the major collector system between County Route 67 and East Main Street and the 17 ramps at Exit 122. So the major implication here is that changing a roadway from a local road to a minor arterial or major collector would make it eligible for federal funding. And in the case of Old East Main Street, it would become a local road and no longer be eligible for federal funding. That's kind of the overview. Does anyone have any specific questions or concerns? Or Sandra or Nicole, I'm not sure if you have anything you would like to add at this point.
No, nothing to add, but thank you.
Okay. If there's no questions, this is something that requires a vote, so it will go for action at the next plan or policy committee meeting. So, okay. Let me know if you have any questions about this at a later date, but otherwise, I think we can move on to the last item. So we did revise the agenda and we added in, we wanted to talk about the CARES Act funding that's come through. So the CARES Act, the FTA CARES Act funding specifically, is part of the package released by the federal government. Interestingly, the CARES Act funding from the FTA is not required to be placed on the TIP or the STIP. So this funding, we just wanted to show you the numbers and kind of for informational purposes, since we don't actually have to add it to the TIP. But the TMA members, Dutchess, Ulster, Orange, the MTA, all work together to allocate the funding, but you base it on the formulas that are currently used for our annual FTA allocations. We weren't reinventing the wheel. Everyone agreed to keep it fair this way. So the CARES Act funds are eligible to be used for transit capital and operating assistance, as well as administrative leave for employees. And Rob and his staff are working to submit the grant to FTA as soon as possible. Rob, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. So on April 2nd, the FTA published the apportionment table, and we've been working with the TMA and with the state and with FTA Region 2 basically since then to get the numbers in front of you that you see. And specifically in Orange County, the transit team continues on a daily basis for the past couple weeks, work with FTA Region 2 to clarify the guidance and to develop the grant. The focus for this funding is a couple of key takeaways, I should say. It's retroactive to January 20th of 2020. It's eligible for operating expenses, and that's the focus of this money. If you read the guidance, they want it operating, they want it quick, which is why it's not required to be on a TIP or a STIP. I believe that's why, because it eliminates a step and it can hopefully get administered a little bit quicker. Excuse me. So we continue to work through that process with the FTA. It's eligible again for all operating expenses. It's 100% federal funding, so that's a plus. So I've been in contact, and my transit team's been in contact a little bit with the operators. Specifically, like a driver barrier was developed for the dial buses and the paratransit buses, so we shared that information with the dial bus operators. We let them know that if they purchase this, we encourage them to purchase it. We can definitely reimburse it at 100%, and it's all included in the quarterly reports that we get on a regular basis from all the bus operators. So it's something we continue to work through. Hopefully we'll get that grant We have to work through our legislative process, but we're hoping to get that grant submitted to the state within the month, to the feds, within a month. And we'll go from there and see when we can access those funds. But it's a significant amount of money to help support the transit systems. And it's, as Alan mentioned earlier, we're not sure what transit's going to be in the future. And it's kind of like a day-by-day thing as it slowly comes back online. And I know I had a conversation with Coach USA a couple of weeks ago, and they are really hurting right now because the revenue, they're basically shut down. The revenue nationwide is about 8% of what it typically is at this time of year. So it's significant, and they're concerned about, a lot of us, including, as we mentioned here, transit staff and county staff have learned to work from home remotely. So what does that mean for transit in the future? And that, there'll be lots of conversations about that. So I don't want to tie up everyone's time, but that's where we're at to get that grant done quickly and get those funds out to the operators.
Thanks, Rob. Does
You're
anyone have any
welcome.
questions for Rob about the CARES Act funding at all? Okay, great. All right. I think, unless anyone has any questions or concerns or anything else they'd like to add to the agenda items, we can move on to reports.
Ashley?
Yep, Olu.
Yeah, how do you expect to do the voting for the next policy meeting? Are you going to do a virtual voting or what?
Oh, that's a good segue. So the next meeting in June would be June 9th, which is the second Tuesday, which is we've changed the meetings to the second Tuesday. So should that meeting be a virtual meeting, we're going to use the same platform, free conference call, and we're going to go by either roll call maybe for each vote, or if people are on camera, I can see them obviously. But everything will be recorded and transcribed again, in keeping with making everything, accessible for people. So, yes, that is my answer right now, is that, so if we have to have another virtual meeting, we'll do it this way, and people will be able to vote this way, because our operating procedures as it stands didn't allow for mail ballot voting, so we're going to continue to hold meetings and keep them as publicly accessible as we can, and just ensure that people can view them at a later date too. So, does that answer your question, Olu?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, June 9th, 2020, we're looking to have a voting meeting at 1 p.m. I'll send out all the pertinent meeting details before the meeting, obviously, and keep you appraised of what's going on. So just keep on the lookout for that. So, yeah. Julie, did you have any other updates you wanted to share?
I do. I wanted to give sort of a little presentation update on the two larger studies that we have going on, the West Central study and the Regional Transit study. But I do want to be mindful, we're coming up on 11 o'clock, so it's been an hour. I want to be respectful of people's time. Just a quick poll on the line. Do we have time for an update on the two studies, or shall I?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. Ashley, could you share your screen? Or give me control?
Sure. I can share, or if you want to, Julie, you can have it.
I would prefer to have control.
I'm doing it now. You should be able to share and everything, Julie.
Ashley, while you're doing this, you said something about cameras. Are you able to see us? I don't even. It's the first time I use this software. I don't know if my camera is broadcasting.
I could see Rob when he was on, and I'm looking to see if anyone else So if you just called in, obviously I'm not going to see you, but if you joined from a computer that has a camera and you give it access, then I would be able to see you.
I just want to
Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob, I can see that your web camera's turned off. If you turn it on, we'll be able to see it.
Okay, where would that be? I don't want to take everybody's time.
It should be in the
video camera.
I'm sorry?
There's a little video camera icon.
Yeah, there's generally like a little video camera icon that you can like turn on and off.
Yeah, I don't have it. It's down here, download, so I'm going to download whatever they told me to download. Thank you.
No problem. If you need help, reach out and we can try and troubleshoot.
I don't have it up.
Good.
Julie, while you figure that out, are you okay if I move on to some other member reports?
Sure.
Okay. I'm just wondering if anyone else has anything they'd like to share. Sandra, I was wondering if you could tell us about the Pell study, if there's an update.
No, there's no update, but we're getting super close to getting the consultant approved to start work.
Okay.
You're good. Is that it's on vacancy?
Great. Does anyone else have any updates they'd like to share that they didn't already cover?
Okay, everyone should be able to see my screen now. Can you? You
Yes.
should see the what? Okay, great. All right, so what I have up on the screen is, I'm going to go over the West Central study first. What's up on the screen is the website, the project website, which is www.westcentraltlc.com. So we started this project last year in 2019. We had a couple of SAG meetings, and we've established this project website to kind of follow the project and also to post the deliverables and the progress that we made as we start. So the first place I want to take you to is project documents. Over the last year, we've been working on identifying the West Central part of the study area is a large part of the county. So the first challenge that we had was narrowing it down in terms of which corridors and or intersections we would study in further detail. So the two memos that are posted here memorialize the process that we went through in determining and narrowing down the corridors for further analysis. So this first memo here talks about the process, the data-driven process that we went through to select corridors. So we looked at congestion management process, measures of congestion. We looked at projects that may have had some relation or project related to the TIP. We looked at existing municipal plans and policies. We looked at the AADT and crash data. We looked at proximity to transit and any transit-related data that we had for the area, as well as these other items, pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, as well as what we started with was feedback from the study advisory group in terms of, hey, these are the places we know there's issues and we want to look at these. So that memo is there. That's kind of an executive summary of the selection process. And then the actual selection memo, you'll see here is the table of all the areas that were originally under consideration. And then again, we looked at all these different measures to analyze which areas, which corridors would become a priority in terms of further study. So that's all there. So the corridors that we ended up narrowing it down to are also on the website here. And so these are the focus areas that we have settled on. So it's the Route 17M, Dulcin Avenue corridor from Dulcin Town Road to Main Street.
Are you sharing that? Because I don't see it on the screen.
Yes, I am. Does everyone see this, or just?
I just see the memo.
No, I see the map.
Yeah, I can see the map, too.
Okay. Oops. And so the second area is Route 211 corridor from 17 northbound ramps to Goshen Turnpike. That's where we narrowed that study area down to. And then Route 94 Academy Ave from Main Street to New Sephora Boulevard in Chester. Sorry, not cooperating. Anyway, you get the idea. Route 94 is the one I just went over. Route 17M, Brookside Avenue and County Route 13 to Lehigh Avenue is another intersection in Chester, and Route 94 South Main Street and Colonial Avenue, which is an intersection in Warwick. There is a transit element to this study, which will be looking at transit as it originates from the Middletown area, but also its interconnectivity and relationship to the other study areas in the study. So kind of the next steps after this, after we established the study areas, was to, we had planned to initiate traffic counts in this spring. However, due to the COVID-19, we're unable to collect traffic counts this spring that would be reflective of any kind of normal traffic pattern or conditions, because there's far less traffic, there's no schools open, transit has been impacted, etc. So we had to make a decision about whether or not we go to Plan B. So temporarily what the actions we've taken are we've requested data from prior traffic studies that were done for specific projects from the municipalities that were being studied. So we requested data from all the municipalities that are mentioned up here, as well as County DPW and NISDOT. And we got quite a thorough response, so we were pleased about that. So we're going through that data now to see what's relevant and what's usable that we can relate to these corridors. You know, we are able to get some turning movement information out of those studies. So kind of the next steps, I think, for this study, we're drafting a survey so we can collect input about travel behavior and the types of improvements that people might like to see on the corridor. I want to preface that the there's a pre-COVID and a post-COVID way of taking the survey. So we're asking that people take the survey based on conditions prior to COVID-19, but then we do add a section at the end of the survey to try to capture how things have changed or how people are anticipating their travel behavior might change after COVID-19. So we're going to be circulating that. We have the draft of the survey ready to go. We're going to be circulating that to the SAG for your feedback, and then we'll be posting it here on the website. We'll probably also try to figure out several other options of distributing it. The other challenge that we've come across with this study, as with all studies, I guess, is the public participation, public outreach piece. We are looking at what our options are in terms of virtual public outreach for this study, because we had quite a robust plan about public outreach that we were going to do over the summer, reaching out to municipalities at their various events and meetings and piggybacking off of local events. But so we've had to kind of rethink that, but the survey here is step one. So that's kind of where we are with the West Central study. We've taken it as far as we can. We've managed to keep it moving despite some of the current setbacks. But does anyone have any questions about that, about how we selected the corridors or the corridors in particular? Okay. Well, that's the update on West Central. The second update is on the Mid-Hudson Valley Regional Transit Study. We'll have to figure out a way to bring that up. Just bear with me. Ashley, do you have that PowerPoint?
I have it up. Yeah, I have it up.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so I just need to give control back to you.
Thanks.
My apologies. All right, I think I should have it on my screen now.
Okay. You're ready, Julie?
Almost. I'm trying to get it to move over to the right screen. Can you guys see the PowerPoint now or no? Anyone?
Hold on, Julie.
I see a black screen.
Yeah, all I see is a black screen.
I see it.
Do you see it now?
I see a blue screen.
How about now?
Oh, there.
I can't get it to slide over to this screen. Okay.
There we go.
Excellent. Thank you. My apologies and appreciate your patience for the challenges of virtual reality. So the Mid-Hudson Transit Study was as you recall, that is a 3-county initiative. It's through the TMA, our Transit Management Area, which includes Orange, Dutchess, and Ulster. We embarked on a study to look at kind of a comprehensive approach to transportation planning by and among the 3 counties. We're focusing on opportunities to improve transit connections between the 3 counties, as well as between the study area and major employment hubs outside the region. Things that we analyzed were the inner-city commuter services, opportunities for new technologies and service models, potential capital improvements, and we also wanted to gauge public opinion on service. So the deliverables that were completed to date, I know this, you'll have to jog your memory, but we did finish tech memo a while ago, which was the market analysis. And the market analysis looked at transit potential based on population and job density. And it also looked at commuter transit needs and activity centers and travel patterns. And that analysis was kind of what they call a desktop analysis, which was based, it was done solely with data. So it was based on ACS data as well as the loads data. And the outcomes of the market analysis can be found, everything that I'm showing here to you here today can be found on the project website, which is what you see here, www.connectmidhudson.com. So the second, after we did the market analysis, which is kind of looking at the propensity for potential transit, then they did a service analysis, which included an overview of the regional services that were available, and they got that information based on NISDOT GTFS data. We did a transit survey. It was done collaboratively through the 3 counties. We did pop-ups at some of the bus hubs, and I think at some of the rail stations, and we collected about 1,200 surveys, which included riders and non-riders, and we got input on terms of service via the survey. And then they did a little bit of a service gaps assessment, which was a comparison of the regional services to the regional travel patterns. I'm going to skip Tech Memo 3. Tech Memo 4 looked at capital improvements. This is still a work in progress, but basically it's a review for potential capital projects that can help either address congested roadway segments or help address park and ride lots with capacity issues. And these are the locations that the key analyses that they will be looking at and identifying those capital improvements for. And again, this was driven a lot by the congestion mitigation process that we've talked about at these OCTC meetings earlier last year. We were updating our CMP process, and out of the I think it was the macro analysis, there were certain congested areas identified. And so you can see the ones here in Orange County that will be looked at. It's 17K near Route 9W, County Road 15, Route 9W at 84 interchange, Route 17 at 84 interchange, Route 17 at 300 and the 84-87 interchange, and 208 and I-84. Okay. So part of the capital improvements analysis, like I said earlier, includes looking at the park and rides also. So the park and ride, this is just a list of the park and ride capacity assessment locations as well that relate to those locations I just showed in the previous slide. So we're looking at, for Orange, Monroe Park and Ride lots A and B, Chester Park and Ride, Tuxedo Park and Ride, Central Valley Park and Ride lots 1, 2, and 3, Curious Joel Park and Ride, and I think that's it for Orange. So the draft of the capital improvements should be coming within a week, and then hopefully in June we'll have the final report coming, and sort of so that these tech memos are all, as I said, located on the www.connectmidhudson.com website. The outline of the final report is going to include kind of a financial analysis based on looking at the TMA funding, how that's distributed among the 3 counties in the TMA, and what our anticipated capital needs would be, and potentially what portion of that funding would be available to be used for capital improvements. And in terms of transit, the final report will address the issues raised based on through the market assessment and the gaps analysis and the congestion and parking capacity constraints, and it will also take into account issues raised with the survey. So then the important thing is the recommendations will be made, and there's emerging some recommendations categories, which are looking at the potential for a transit ombudsman for service monitoring and oversight, microtransit recommendations, which include kind of a demand responsive, flexible routing type response, which is not a surprise to those of you who have been following transit in the county and some of the outcomes of the METS plan. We know that a fixed route service might not be, or increased service might not be the options that fit. And then we'll be looking at commuter bus service adjustments, if there are places where that makes sense, and then potential capital improvements, which the recommendations will probably involve fleet replacement or expansion, treatments of congestion, and expansion opportunities at the park and ride lots. And that is the update for the Mid-Hudson Regional Transit Study. Are there any questions? We will have a more... Go ahead, Sandra.
Just real quick. I just want to say I'm really looking forward to this final report and also the congestion management plan that you're working on. And I remember, I don't know, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago when OCTC announced all of the studies that you were kicking off along with your long-range plan, I thought, oh my goodness, are they lining themselves? And I'm so impressed with all the work that you guys have done. Really, keep it up.
Oh, great, thank you. My staff has been working very hard, and they had a lot of the analysis done for the West Central study was done internally, so kudos to Lauren and some of the other transportation planners.
Absolutely.
So yes, once this is finalized, I hope to have a formal presentation. I'll let the consultants do that, and we'll try to schedule that around one of these OCTC meetings. Again, that's going to possibly have to be a virtual option, but more to come on that. Ashley?
Unless anyone has anything else they'd like to report or any comments.
Just I'd like to congratulate Alan on his new position and good luck, and if we can help you. And I think we ought to rally around Middleton like we did Fort Jervis also in their traffic operations. And good luck, Alan. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Great. Thanks for that, Al. Okay. Unless there's anything else, I think we are adjourned. So thank you for joining.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for hanging on. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, be safe.